you said that you decided together to emigrate, and first of all, you were thinking about getting your PhD in Turkey, and then you shifted the decision to immigrate because of certain opportunities abroad. Would you please talk to me about that, and how did that become part of your dream as a couple living in Iraq, and specifically Baghdad?
To be honest, it's not part of my dream. It was one of Jaffar's dream.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm the emotional part of the relationship, I will not think about getting away from my family in
Uh-huh.
such way. And because he's the practical one, he just calculated and he convinced me. And I believe that it is the right decision for me as a doctor. It is better for me to start there, not here.
Mm-hmm.
And and because I feel that I'm dedicated to my child, so I think he deserved a better life than that the one that I lived or Jaffar's lived.
Okay. Well, that I think that's very logical from the perspective of an Iraqi citizen, and of every family to secure, to secure a good future to their children, to their offspring. And this is coming from their concern about the instability, the economic, the security instability, the educational instability. Like when we think of the value of education and the amount of good education that they're going to get there, it outweighs the amount of education that they will get in other parts of the country.
Yeah.
And this is pretty much a good solid reason and justifiable reason for people to immigrate. It's actually quite interesting because maybe this might sound like a question that will come in IELTS exam in the speaking section, and I'm pretty sure you'll get very good results in the speaking section. By the way, have you taken IELTS before or not?
Yes, I did two IELTS tests.
Hmm. Hmm.
It was academic one.
Okay, now what was the major challenge that you had? I know we talked a little bit about it, but this is just an opening to our discussion of the skills that the person the person needs to amass for this sort of tests. So the word here that we have is amass. What were your major challenges that you had in this test? This is just a review of our previous conversation that we had where we talked about IELTS and the challenges that you had there.
Um, the both tests that I did, in the both tests that I did, I faced a lot of problems in the writing section. I always didn't finish the last essay question. Um, this is the biggest problem that I felt.
There's
And
Zainab, there's some noise coming into my ears from I think the headphone. Not sure
yes,
about it.
sorry, yes.
Okay. Yes, so writing section was your major challenge, and we did a little bit of chat about that part, and I'm pretty sure that this thing is very solvable. It just takes a little bit amount of
The problem that I had is I went to the both exams without any preparation. I didn't study. I didn't knew the principle. I just booked the test and went there without any preparation.
just
So the
like me.
problem you can pass it, but for me it was very difficult because
Mhm,
I thought that when you have the test, sorry for the writing section, they
mhm,
will consider about your opinion. And
mhm.
this is like me. I thought that they will consider about my opinion, so I took a lot of time to gather my thoughts and put it in very perfect frame, and so I didn't catch up the test. I ended up run out of the time without finishing the test, and these are my major. But I was better in speaking. I was.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and I think what is speaking, listening, and what writing. There's
Writing.
other section.
Listening, speaking, reading, and writing.
Reading, yeah, I was good in reading.
Okay. Now, there's something quite interesting about IELTS when it comes to tests. And this thing is that IELTS is a skill-based test. It's not knowledge-based test. Now, the difference...
I think in skills, yes.
So the difference is this. We talk about a knowledge-based test. It is a test where you need to memorize things like facts, and you go and respond. Like, what is the population of Australia? And you say, well, blah blah blah. What is the size of Africa? And you say, blah blah blah. What is the distance between Earth and Moon? Blah blah. So this is a kind of knowledge-based test that requires you to demand a little bit of memorization to take it. When we think of an IELTS test, you pretty much don't have to memorize anything and take the test, just like your case. But the difference is this: if you haven't sharpened your skills enough after an amount of practice, you wouldn't be able to survive and get higher score. That's why we call it a skill-based test. That requires people to develop their skills. Now, the question that we will have here, is language a skill-based thing or a knowledge-based thing? Now, it's actually partially skilled and partially knowledge, but language is a skill. Language is a skill. It's not knowledge by itself. That's why people take lots of time, maybe years, to master it. And once you stop practicing it, you lose the athleticness of, I don't know if this is a word or not, of that skill. It is like playing football. If you do not practice for 1 month, your body is going to be overweight, and then you will lose the mobility and maneuverability, because it's a skill. It's not only knowledge. I mean, people have knowledge, but they need to put it in the context of a skill. That's why when we take any sort of test like TOEFL and IELTS, we do not base that or on our knowledge. Like, oh yeah, I am very, very confident. My English is really good. But when I go and take the test, I fail. Why? Because I just depended on my knowledge of language, not the skill that I developed to survive in this, like skimming and scanning and mastering good quality of conversation and restructuring the paragraphs in order to be able to produce good quality paragraphs. All of these components are necessary to help you become a skillful IELTS test taker. And that leads me, actually, I mean, I wanted to do a little bit of conversation, because probably, when was the last time you had an English conversation for more than an hour?
I didn't have.
Okay, so probably I'm just investing some good quality, if you don't mind, of course, of conversation. Like half of the meeting, we do some conversation about a variety of topics, because I love talking to you, actually, and it's quite a pleasure to share your insights and your thoughts about the issue of immigration. And I've put some questions about immigration here. Like, one of them is this: why do people immigrate to other countries? This is just a random question that just came to my mind, and I wanted to share that with you to get your insights about this kind of questions. But remember, when I ask you this question, I do not want you to give me a short answer. I would like to um, ask you to collect as many examples and thoughts and experiences from your life to respond back to this question, even if you spend more than 15 minutes talking about it. I don't mind.
Okay. Well, immigration is, I think people immigrate to have new life, to how to say, US is,
To establish, to found.
so yes, established a new life with maybe new experience to him. And for me as a parent, I would like to my child to have better life, better education, better environment to raise in. I would like him to have a hobby. You know, I want him to start to have his own personality without being affected by the environment or the issues that is going around him. For me, I want to start to put the right principles and base to my career or to my knowledge in my field. How to say, واحد يثبت نفسه يعني.
Okay, to prove themselves,
Prove.
right in certain
Yeah.
field.
Yeah, I want to prove myself in this field. I face a lot of problems here in Iraq. I was one of the best in my college, in my school. I was the best of my. I ranked as eighth. I did a lot. I get how to say it. I
Distinction. تميز. Distinction.
no. I don't want to talk about this matter right now. Yeah. No, I did my best. I think this is what I want to say. I did my best in every way that I passed through. I tried my best and I did it, but I didn't get anything in return. So, yeah, that's it. That's the end of my how to say, محاولات.
Attempts.
Yes.
Attempts. No, I noticed something interesting about you, as Zainab, and that is word choice. This is a major issue that we do have in English speaking field, that lots of people actually encounter difficulty with retaining or remembering or trying to say
with these words, and I can't translate it when I read it, but when I want to recall it, I had a problem.
Okay. So the issue of recalling comes from the fact that you are playing the role of a translator. Your mind is processing lots of things at the same time, and probably you're a doctor, you know that. But the thing with language that we always have to resort to alternatives. Don't get stuck in certain word just because you have the urge to say it. The point is that the point you need to deliver a message. You need to let people understand you, and there are more than one ways to say that. You can use your descriptive skills, saying like, for example, you're trying to describe something, but you just don't remember the name. We say it's on the tip of my tongue. على طرف لساني. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I don't remember the word, the exact word. That's coming from the fact that memory became passive. These words are floating. They're, floating like fish in the memory. And if we don't use them, they just become lazy, and the mind, the memory documents them, it archives them, and they become less active. because the brain,
Yes, that's
especially for people who use more than two languages, has kind of, the brain favors one language to say something over the other. So if we just minimize the use of English on the expense of using Arabic,
mm,
or we use Arabic on the expense of using English, we just uh, marginalize English. And there's always
mm.
this struggle of one language to dominate, to beat, to kick the other language from being used. There's
Yes,
different analogies.
a person that I can talk to him, uh, I think at least for 2 or 3 hours a day, so I can recall all my how to say the missing words.
I'm always there.
Okay.
um, you can definitely talk to me for 3 hours, because I love talking to you. I think there's so much pleasure of sharing experiences and thoughts, especially when it comes to talking to a doctor. Like, you have a ton of experience, coming from you living in a country where English is not the major language of communication. And despite this, you have overcome
Mm.
all of these obstacles, and you became a very good, talented English speaker. And I'm pretty sure
By the way,
I.
Romanian
Uh-huh.
too.
Say
I
it
speak
again.
Romanian. I said I. By the way, I speak Romanian, so I have three. I'm
Yeah.
good in three languages.
So this is really amazing, because when you start speaking more than two languages, you just give your brain a better chance to control more languages, to devour more languages, to learn more languages. I'm pretty sure if you start exploring Italian or Spanish or Portuguese, you're not going to have the same difficulty that you had when you started
So,
your early learning of English, for example, if that came through schooling. Um,
mm-hmm.
Tell me about Romanian, because I'm very interested and keen to know your background as an English learner, as a Romanian speaker. Where did that come from? How did you learn Romanian? How did you start your career as an English speaker?
It was in 2016. I traveled there. I just wanted to know how the life is there. And if I will like the their life or their education, that I'm gonna have my degree there,
Hmm.
because it is a much easier than Turkey and much easier than London. These were my major options. So I went to a school uh, of language, and I learned Romanian there. By the way, my English helped me a lot in learning Romanian, because they
Romanian.
have yeah, they have the same words but in different pronunciation. But they have difference in the
Huh.
grammars, of course. But English helped me
Hmm.
a lot. Areas.
Hmm. So I understand that English became a scaffold to you to learn Romanian.
Yeah.
If I may ask, if you can hear me, how long did you stay in that English, in that Romanian course?
1 year. Yeah, I for 1 year. I
Okay, for
yeah
1 year. And to what
yeah I
level? To what level?
third. I was ranked third among
Which
my
is
colleagues.
which is the advanced level?
Yeah, it was very good because the first one was the Italian guy, and Italian
Uh-huh.
and Romanian are twin languages. And
Hmm.
the second one was Ukrainian girl who lived there in Romania for 2 years. And I was the third, and was the first Arabian person who
Wow, very impressive.
yeah. But the issue that I couldn't stand the idea that I'm gonna study uh, medicine and will take my degree in Romania. That's why I returned back.
Oh. Was that the horrifying,
It
the
was the
terrifying feeling, the haunting feeling that you had?
no, it wasn't homesickness.
Hmm.
I just couldn't understand the idea that medicine will be in Romanian. Yeah, it cannot be only
Okay, I
in
see that.
yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay, well, I think that you're coming from a background where English was taught to you at school, and then you upgraded to a university where you studied medicine and English. So it's by default
Mhm.
very struggling thing to forego this feeling that all the beauty and all the anatomy of a human body will be shifted to Romanian, not English. I think that's a horrifying, terrifying kind of feeling. Now, the next question is probably related to immigration. We'll I promise you, we're not going to spend that much time on immigration, but I just need to open this discussion just to help you speak more your thoughts. Do you think that immigrants are treated well in most countries?
If you behave well, I think yes. If you have a good
Give me give me more details. And do you think that there is any racial discrimination against certain immigrants coming from certain parts of the world?
I don't know actually because I didn't have this experience, but from the stories I heard, that your knowledge, your behavior, your degree, your efforts, that will be performed, uh, will be, how to say it, يحدد.
No, I'm not gonna say the word. I want you
Okay.
to think of options, alternatives. This is where you get stuck with your translator role. You're not a translator. I'll keep saying that. You're an English speaker, and your point is to deliver effective vocabulary. You know lots of
Uh,
synonyms. So choose an alternative,
uh,
just like you're driving a car
right.
and then you need to go right or left to avoid the pitfalls that's
Yeah.
facing you.
Yeah, I think it's determined. So these efforts that are performed by you will determine your identity there,
I love
and
this word. Hmm.
the way that they treat you.
Hmm. Now, that leads me to my next question. Should immigrants have the same rights as native citizens? Imagine, like in Iraq, we have immigrants coming from, well, in hypothetically speaking, because I
Mm,
don't think there's anybody willing to travel to a country like this and
mm,
immigrate and settle. But hypothetically speaking, do you
okay.
think that immigrants should be treated like the native citizens of that country that they're immigrating to?
Well, it's a very hard question, and
Yeah, I just want to hear your insights about that. By the way, you don't need to be very specialist or very
if
specialized in this field to answer me. This is just a casual conversation about it.
yes, if they won't treat us as a native citizen there, then I think they have the right to do that because they are native. Simply, they are the owner of that house. So, but if they became racist, let's uh, put it in
Hmm.
this way, no, then they don't have the right to do that
Okay.
because
No.
the end of the way we all are human beings and we all have the rights.
Mhm.
This land is not for them; it belongs to God. So, yes.
Okay. Now, when somebody travels to Canada, for example, to Toronto in Canada or one of the European countries,
Yes.
which one do you recommend they go? The track where they bring with them their own culture, traditions, and norms, and they try to spread that to people there, or they just get adjusted to the target culture, the culture, the traditions, and norms of the society.
if you are planning to such a huge change in your life, then and traveling this distance and to new life, a new land, a new how to say habits, then you have to adjust your behavior just like the native citizens, or just like they behave there. You don't have the right to bring your habits there.
Okay, so do you think that you should isolate yourself from the community that you're living in there, or you just need to merge with the community and try to learn their norms and traditions and culture?
And at this, I don't have the right to bother them or isolate myself. I want them to open up to their life, so why I should isolate myself there?
Okay, perfect. That's quite important, because I lived in the United States for 3 years, and that was part of me studying for master's degree in English, and I noticed that some people come from Iraq and they settle in the United States, but they still struggle to live with society, and they still criticize people there. Like, why do you do this way? Why do they behave in this way? Why do they say this thing? Why do they celebrate that? And that's quite shocking to me.
Yeah, and the same people will be frustrated if the people there in the United States will compliment on their actions, give them compliments on their actions. And so they will be frustrated. I think we
that sense of isolation just made them feel some sort of isolated from society. They were not merging in society and working naturally with people, and climbing up the ladder of success and getting better job opportunities. I think all of that culminates in
take the positive things and leave the negative things that you are not convinced with them. Just as simple.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think I partially agree with that, because culture is a homogeneous sort of entity where things that are good are merged with things that are not good. So it's really hard to isolate, but some people get adjusted to the target culture by understanding how people think and understanding how people behave and working accordingly, because you're intuitively a human being, and you need to adjust yourself to live in a society, no matter how difficult and struggle you will have to be part of that society. And this is where people should get themselves adjusted to the target culture, the norms, traditions, that culture. On this point, I'll stop talking about immigration, and I think it's a little bit early to talk about that right now. We need to first get the thing get our things with else done before we shift to talk about and this sort of uh, now you were talking to me in our previous meeting about IELTS writing, and I have notes here in the document. Do you have an access to the document?
Yeah, there are lots of, I don't know what are these mistakes. Maybe from I typed it at the night, and like the sample one, living at a word with, I don't know where did it come from.
Can you just highlight the point that you're talking about here, so I can
yes, like in the first
cars?
sample one.
Uh-huh.
Sample one, okay. Living at a word with in which, not with. Sorry, as I said, I typed it late at the night, and I didn't see my mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so living at a world in which speed is mandatory.
It's important and mandatory in our daily lives. Makes
Mhm.
the utility of the cars
Mhm.
become highly recommended. So I think that the advantages of cars can outweigh the disadvantages.
Okay, so let's stick with sample number one here that we're talking about. This is part of a question that is: do you agree that the advantages of cars bring well outweigh the disadvantages? This is the question, and then I wrote this sort of short paragraph, and I think that just was a little bit confusing here. Now, up to this point, I have noticed a few major issues, and they are really easy to be addressed, and they're not that quite challenging. What we need to do when we start writing, we need to remember something, that writing is a skill, not knowledge. Like, I do not have a preset of things that I will say to any kind of question that will be given to me. No, I just need to come up with it, with something, with a product based on the observation and based on what is going to be given to me. So writing is a skill. Now, writing is a skill because writing for IELTS is a skill, and passing IELTS demands a little bit of a skill that should be sharpened by the course of time. And also, let me just do bullet points here. I think that's much better. And then I just going to make it a little bit. Okay. Writing also is a process, not a product. When we talk about writing as a process, it is just because it's a constant of drafting,
And
editing, proofreading, and then rewriting. Now, when it comes to IELTS, we only have 40 minutes to write around 260 to 280 words, because we're not required to write the total 300 words. I mean, you can write 300 words, but there is no necessity. People get 8.5 in IELTS by writing 260 words, 250 words. So there is no necessity, there is no obligation to write 300 words. Also, 260 to 280 is manageable amount of words to be checked before submitting your paper. We often start writing once we are giving the question, and this is wrong. Like, we need to develop a structure. The human brain, uh, fails in doing multitasking all the time. So what we need to do is to give it a context. Like, I was talking to a friend of mine about something a few days ago, and she said, "Well, give me a context." By giving people a context, their brain is going to focus all of its superpower to tackle and solve this issue particularly. But if you wander, if you just do not have any objective, you start just narrating like you're vomiting words on paper, this is not going to work. um, you need to have a consistent structure where we have a context, where we have a framework on on which we put the content of that here. Now, a major issue that we have as Arabs is that we don't seem to stop at certain point. We just need to stop at certain point and then resume. So here when you said living, by the way, do you prefer me to change the question in case you don't feel comfortable with this question, or maybe you don't have enough background about it?
Um, you said to me you have to rewrite what the sample said, like using what has become increasingly common in recent years, and use your own terms. So I just rephrase it as it was
Yes,
written in
but
the sample.
do you think that this question should be changed in case you are not comfortable with this, or we can stick with this question? Because
No,
it's
we
more of
can.
the content, not the kind of question.
We can stick to it.
Okay, so the paraphrasing is that I'm seeing here, living at a world. I'll just highlight this one. So when we talk about at, this is the first issue. I'm just going to give you feedback, and then we will build on this feedback, and you will get to a point of understanding what I want as an evaluator.
Okay.
When when we write IELTS, uh, first question that we ask is, did the speaker do accomplish the task? Did the speaker, did the writer accomplish the task? Is the task cohesive and coherent? Is there a logical sequence? Did, is it accurate, and does it have we call it lexical diversity and grammar and accuracy? These are the major components of evaluating any IELTS writing. This is given 9, this is given 9, this is given 9, and this is given 9. Okay? So the average of 9, like 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus, sorry, I keep saying plus 9 plus 9 plus 9 equal divided by 4. Okay, so we say divided by 4, and then the whole average is going to be your score in IELTS writing for task 2. Are we good so far?
Yes.
Okay, so we have task achievement, and task achievement is achieved when we answer what we are asked about. So if I ask you about your agreement or disagreement, I expect to see some sort of good introduction, good statement, body, and conclusion. Okay, and then when I ask you about argument, and you say, well, I disagree with this argument because of 1, 2, and 3, you have achieved the task that is given to you. So you're getting 8.5 to 9, or you get, or something like that. Cohesion and coherence اللي هو التناسق بين الفقرات والترابط بين الجمل. Have you seen one of the movies in Hollywood where they show you a part of the end of the movie, and they cut it, and they start the movie, and then by the end you understand the end of the movie because you just saw it in the beginning, but it seemed to be finished.
Yeah, like predestination.
Yes, exactly. So like predestination. But what happens is that when we write, we have to do pretty much the same thing because movies are based on scripts. And what we need to do is to link every single paragraph to the next, like we're linking our train of thoughts. We just need to make sure that there's some logical sequence. Like I'm talking to you right now, and I say something interesting. I should not shift your attention unless I tell you that I am going to shift your attention. For example, I was talking to you about immigration, but then I said, okay, then let's transition to talk about IELTS. So you became aware because I already told you. If I did not tell you, you will feel confused. Am I talking about IELTS or am I talking about immigration? So there should be logical sequence. So far, I am just telling you the general lines, the headlines that we should follow. And then we'll see that in our practice, of course, here. Then we go to lexical diversity. Lexical diversity هو التنوع المفردات اللي يعد الشخص. Like how many vocabulary that they have, how many vocabulary that they use. So in another way, we just need to push and pump as many academic vocabulary as possible in the paragraph. I will give you an example here. خلينا نعطيش مثال. Give me a sentence, any sentence. Just write it here. مثال كلش مسلي حلو. Just write to me one complete sentence. Any kind of sentence. بالمقالة.
In English, you mean?
Yeah.
Write it here. Like.
Okay. Any sentence. Just write any sentence.
Okay. It just vanished. Like. I don't know. It just vanished.
Are you serious?
Quite serious.
Any simple sentence, like 3 or 4 words.
Like in. Sorry. And like how to this is right or wrong, intellectual.
Don't worry about spelling.
Yeah. Intellectual it's right.
Intellectual what?
Behavior. Sorry.
Intellectual behavior. Finish it.
I finished.
Well, this is not a sentence. A sentence should have a subject. This is something we call okay, you should know this, Zainab. This is something called a phrase. Okay.
Phrase, yes.
A phrase is a very short sentence that does not have time.
And even
like
meaning.
When you say intellectual behavior, no, it has meaning. Intellectual behavior, it's an adjective, and this is a noun. It has a meaning. Does not have time. Like there is no tense. Maku tense, maku zaman biha. So we don't know if this is a sentence in the past, the present. Right. But if you say, for example, if you say intellectual behavior is a must, no. I see that there is a tense here. It says, so it's a present. Okay? Sounds good?
Yes.
And must is a complement. It's a complement. This sort of sentences we call SVO. Means subject, it has subject, it has verb, and it has object. Or تكملة اللي احنا نسميها complement. Okay? هذه this is the basic English sentence. Now, for example, I say Ali likes milk. This is a complete sentence. It has a subject, a verb, which is V, and object, which is milk. Okay. In IELTS, my point is this: in IELTS, we don't write Ali likes milk because when we talk about here, by the way, I'm jumping here and there. It may be confusing, but I'm talking about these four elements here.
I get you.
I will highlight them in green. I'm talking about lexical diversity. تنوع المفردات. In English,
I
we need to
think
show off. In English, when we write IELTS, do you hear me? Hello? Your sound is gone. Do you hear me?
Sorry.
Hello?
Hello.
Do you hear? I hear you.
I couldn't hear you. Yes, now I hear you.
Okay. When we write for IELTS, we need to show off. لازم نتفاخر إنه we have bigger pool of vocabulary. So we say,
Like we
Senor Ali.
milk one of Ali.
Huh? Adores.
We can say milk is the one of Ali's preferable beverage. Animal products.
Such as milk. So, or we can say Mr. Ali adores animal products such as milk. Instead of saying Ali likes milk, which carries the same meaning, but because we are writing, we should minimize the amount of informality in our writing. We should increase the amount of formality. And this is something we call lexical diversity. So the more vocabulary I see, but you should not repeat this list of vocabulary again and again, because that is going to be considered redundant. Redundant is repetitive. And this is not a good thing. Grammar and accuracy are clear. Like, we should have good mastery of grammar and good mastery of accuracy. And by that, I mean you should use more than one tense in English. لازم تستعملي أكثر من زمن when you talk effectively. And you should be careful when you use certain words. Like, for example, the word intellectual. If you are not sure 100% how to spell it, just say mental.
Yes.
Just say mental. Don't say behavior. Intellectual.
Okay.
You are not going to be marked positively if you are saying the word intellectual. Simply, it's going to be a mark down to your score. Now, let's go back. Let's go back to what we were talking about. English loves short sentences, so avoid long sentences as much as possible. Now, let's come here. Living.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes. Yes.
Did you say why?
No, I said, can you just mark it in the paragraph that I wrote? What are the long sentences that I use?
Oh, yeah. Like here, for example, this. Well, as I said, English is a subject, verb, object. So like 3 or 4 words. We go for 10 words maybe in long sentences. But this sentence is very long. It's very long. Like you see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 13, 26, around 30 words. And it is one sentence.
Oh.
So it's okay. I think this is in Arabic style, because in Arabic, we tend to use long sentences. I mean, we say خير الكلام ما قل ودل, but we don't follow that kind of rule. We just keep talking and keep talking for like 100 pages. So when we talked about creating a good impression about the introduction, the good impression comes from writing a very solid introduction. Okay, so here, for example, let me pull out a document here that I wanted to show you. Let me see here. Anyways, I'll just download the document while we are talking. But I wanted to say that living. Do you see at? We use at at very specific situations. Like I say, Zainab, I want to see you in the evening. I did not specify any hour or any minutes in the evening. But if I want to see you at a specific time, I say, I want to see you at 10.
Yes.
So at is used for very specific location in time or in areas. Like, for example, I want to see you at the corner of our street. The bird is at the door. The bird is at the door. My friend is at the airport. It is not any place in the country. It's at the airport. My friend is at the gate. So it is very specific place. So when we say living at a world, this is not correct. So I will go as an IELTS examiner. I will be happy because I'll mark you down. So راح اروح على grammar and accuracy بدل 9 I will just make it 8.5 and I'll keep doing that until I go to like 6 or 6.5. You see that? So we need to be very careful. By the way, احنا عندنا قاعدة, let me say that in Arabic, عندنا قاعدة باللغة الإنجليزية, آخر شيء يصير محترف به الشخص المتقدم باللغة الإنجليزية هي حروف الجر. آخر شيء يكتسبها الشخص يصير محترف بها هي حروف الجر, لأنه it takes lots of time because it's a skill. It is not knowledge. It is not I go to a dictionary and I learn them and that's it. No, it comes from skill. Skill comes from practice. And practice comes from longer time of speaking and writing and reading and listening. Okay, so you keep that in mind. Living in a world in which speed is important. Now, the word important, we can change it to significant. See here? So we are gradually, what we're doing, we are gradually trying to help you understand how to structure an introduction, choosing not cliche words, مو كلمات كليشيه, but more academic words. And mandatory in our daily lives makes the utility of cars become highly recommended. Okay, here we can put full stop. So is used in spoken English more than written English. So we have to say therefore.
Therefore.
Now,
A functional word.
I think we can change the word I think. We can use something different. What do we have to use instead of I think? شنو تعتقدين ممكن نستخدم بدل كلمة I think?
Yes. Introduction, he said, I believe, so I wrote another word is I think.
I think is more informal, like everybody's saying I think. And I am writing for IELTS, so I just need to show that I have good skill with English. So I just need to use a different word. So you can say consider, believe, estimate, ponder,
Ponder means I
contemplate. Huh?
Ponder is I think.
Yes. It's different. Maybe it is not 100% fit here, but I'm just giving you options, synonyms to choose from instead of the word think, because think is not 100% okay. Like when I see somebody writing the word I think, I would say, well, he hasn't done good amount of practice to choose academic words.
Okay.
That so you can say, for example, I believe, I recall, I confirm, I I propose, I affirm, I acknowledge. These are words that we say instead of I think, because when we say the word I think, everybody can say the word I think, but not every writer uses the word I think. Now we can spend the whole evening talking about the introduction, and this is a good thing because I want you to understand that establishing good introduction is going to help you so much to write the rest of the paragraph of the essay. Give me 1 second, and writing. Now, what I want you to do is probably here, we need to rephrase this again. We need to rephrase this again. Remember, I'm just putting pressure on you to write now, because in the test you only have 40 minutes to write. So we are in marathon against time. Do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. I'm trying to rephrase it.
Okay. There is no rush.
Oh, it demands a lot of speed that makes لا مو a lot. Oh, it demands a lot of speed that makes requirement of cars.
No. I can teach you something different here. When we think of this question, is asking ourselves, how can I say this out loud or with myself before I write it down? So the question is, do you agree that the advantages cars have outweigh the disadvantages? You need to first decide whether you agree or disagree.
Yes,
Do you
I
agree?
agree. Yes.
Okay, so let's think of it Arabic. أني أنه فوائد تزيد عن مساوئ السيارات. That's the question. So the question is understood. Now, what we need to do is just to put that in our own words.
Okay.
As an example, I'll just give you an example, then we will discuss the structure of the essay because I want you to build on that structure. I don't worry if I am typing faster than you. It's okay. I think that's just because you're good in certain field, and I'm just been working on keyboard for a long time. So it's okay if I'm typing fast. There is no rush. Don't feel bad that you're not typing at the same speed or something like that. So for example, the necessity of
Because we have such a demand to use cars daily, commute back
this is just random that I have I've just spilled on my sheet here. It is not necessarily 100% final draft, but what we need to do is just to write something and then build on this writing, we can edit. So I highly recommend you use a draft and not the final sheet that you're going to add everything in, because sometimes we make a mistake. Sometimes when we read it out loud, we just hear something different. Okay. And it's highly recommended that you do not use your final sheet as the major sheet to write your answer, and just use an alternative sheet. Ask the examiner to bring you an extra sheet to write down the answer, and then transfer that. And I'm pretty sure that when you start writing the first draft, you'll come up with so many reasons and justifications for that. Now, what you notice here, that I do have a state final extent. What I don't know why it's saying T. What I wrote here, in modern life, the necessity of transportation vehicles have increased the social demand. So I'm just adding adjective to every single noun here. Daily commute back and forth from people have dramatically incorporated every single component. So I'm adding every and single of their life. that they are using for delivering. The last sentence is silly. It's stupid, but I just write it there as an
Very good.
example. You notice here, what I'm writing here is I'm writing a statement. A statement is very, very strong opinion. Like, for example, when I say a statement is very strong opinion, I like to remind my friends that opinion is like onion. It's either you like it very much or you don't like it very much. So this is a statement. A statement is something that either you with completely or you're against completely. And this is
Against.
what you should against that. Now, what we need to do is just write the introduction and ask, tell our brains, we will write 5 paragraphs. Okay? Paragraph 1, it's introduction. Paragraph 2, body, has 3 to 4 paragraphs, and conclusion. That's it. Are we clear? If we tell our brain that this is what is going to happen, our brain is going to focus all of its effort to build the sample according to this model here, what we call model. So far, so good. Are we clear?
Yes.
Now, in 1 minute, try to summarize what we talked about writing the introduction. Just whatever you understood so far.
Well, we have to have a very obvious opinion, whether we agree or disagree. Then we have to put that opinion in very strong statement with some like using where the formal words instead of the informal, and this is about the introduction only, and
lovely.
we have
Now
repeat this. We should avoid the use of very long sentences.
I love that. This is very important. Very important. In English, we call this run-on sentences. Run-on sentences. Run-on sentences are sentences that never seem to stop. So it's typical of an Arab speaker who speaks nonstop, like me talking about my favorite day of the week. You remember when I gave you that example when I started talking about something and I ended up talking about something different? This is a run-on sentences. Like I never seem to clearly state what my opinion is regarding something, and this is flouting. يعني breaching. ده يخترق قاعدة task completion or task achievement, which is number 1 in evaluating people's writing. Now go to Skype. I sent a PDF document. I want you to open it. Can you open it?
Yeah, it is downloading. Okay.
Open? Is it open?
Moving from essay. Chapter 5. It's
okay. So okay. I'm not sending you the whole chapter. I just need you to clarify this with me. Defining the essay and the thesis statement. Thesis statement is a statement.
okay.
Do you see it?
Yes, yes.
An essay is a group of paragraphs about one subject. In many ways, an essay is like a paragraph in longer, fuller form. Both have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion.
Mm.
Both explain one main idea. See, both explain one main idea with details. And as you know, I love details. Facts and examples. An essay is not just a padded paragraph. However, an essay is longer because it contains more ideas.
Mm.
Now, look at this framework here. The paragraph is just the beginning of an essay. Introduction is one, and the paragraph has topic sentence اللي هو الثيمة مات الموضوع على شنو مثلا smoking kills people, body and supporting statements, and concluding sentence. In the paragraph we have concluding sentences. In conclusion we have concluding sentences. Now, how many paragraphs do you see in this essay?
5. No,
5.
8, I think. 5. Yes.
5. 1 in blue, 3 in yellow, and 1 in green. Now, what we talked about introduction, body of 3 to 4 paragraphs, and conclusion. Are we clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what do you think should I ask you next? Or what do you think I will ask you next to do?
Try the body?
No, we will complete the whole essay and I will give you feedback on the whole essay. So in our next meeting on Wednesday, this Wednesday.
Do you mean the main subject?
I expect
the advantages and disadvantages of cars?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I want you to write a complete essay of 250 words in the document according to this framework. ضمن هذا just like what we have here, just like this model. Okay. And I will give you feedback because I want you to write more quantity of words. I just discussed with you the introduction and we talked about immigration. So we have done a little bit of practice of speaking and writing. But you need to understand how we process this skill. This skill does not happen after you reading. It happens after you practice writing and rewriting and drafting and proofreading and editing to the point that you say, oh, I will write this. And then you remember, oh, no, this is not how we should write it. Because Walid told me do not write the word think or good or very. These are informal expressions. And in IELTS, we need to focus on academic expressions. Are we clear so far?
Yes.
Now, I want you in 1 minute, summarize what we have talked about this evening about writing.
Again, we learned how to build a strong structure and statement, especially regarding the introduction. We have to be the expressions, or let's just say the sentences, should be short and with value, let's say, and we should have diversity in the vocabulary, and which is called the lexical diversity. We have to be
Yes.
We took this framework, which determine how many paragraphs that can we use, and what are the major sections in this test. بعد شو أخذنا And
That's it. These are the major things. These are the major things, and I'm very glad that you remember them. The most important element is that we need to give our brain a framework. If we give our
yes,
brain framework, the brain is going to take care of the rest. It is just going to be a matter of 15 to 20 minutes to practice speed writing or speed reading, and we will do lots of activities about that. I'm pretty sure of that, inshallah. Okay, great. Zainab, I'm very happy and pleased to open this lovely conversation with you regarding IELTS. But as I said, IELTS is a skill-based test. It is not knowledge-based test. So we are just carving in a stone and on a stone this skill, and it takes a little bit amount of effort to get to a level because it's not knowledge-based test. It's a skill-based test.
yes. And by the way,
Right.
thank you for lovely compliment you said about me the last live video. I think
It's
Jaffer sent it to me. Thanks for the
which one?
compliment. I don't
You deserve it.
yeah, as we said in Iraqi, you painted me very well.
You deserve it, my dear. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Okay, thanks.
You're
Have a
more than
good
welcome.
night.
By the way,
Yes.
when we are exchanging information, I'm learning about you as a learner, and you're learning about me as a researcher in my field. We are exchanging this, and this exchange of knowledge produces benefit, mutual benefit to you and to me. So I'm always constantly learning from you, just like you're learning from the kind of discussion that we do have together.
Okay, thank you.
You're more than welcome. Have a lovely evening. Thank you so much. And make sure to listen to this recording. I know internet was not that quite helping tonight, but listen to as much as you can from this recording. It's going to help you a lot revisiting key points of our conversation.
Of course, thank you. Thanks a lot.
You're more
Have a
than
good night.
welcome, my dear. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.